So, have you ever really stopped to think about what separates a good leader from a truly great one? Well, today we're going to dive deep into a classic, John C. Maxwell's The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We're going to uncover the core principles that can absolutely transform your ability to lead. So, here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with the big picture, Maxwell's whole philosophy. Then, we'll dig into the real foundation of leadership. From there, it's all about the art of influence. Then, the strategy for taking action. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by looking at how you can build a legacy that really lasts. Okay, let's jump right in. John C. Maxwell's work here, it's really more than just a book. It's a whole philosophy of what he calls intentional influence. You can think of each law as a single thread in this giant, intricate tapestry of leadership. And it's all woven together from these powerful stories of success, failure, and real transformation. So whether you're leading a company or just mentoring one person, these laws are designed to be a compass to guide you. All right, time for part one. This is all about the foundation of leadership. We're talking about those internal qualities, the character stuff that everything else is built on top of. First up is law number one, the law of the lid. The idea here is simple. Your leadership ability acts like a lid or a ceiling on your overall effectiveness. You could be the most talented person in the world, but if your leadership skill is a 5 out of 10, your impact will never be higher than a 5. Maxwell's classic example is the McDonald's brothers. They had a brilliant system for fast food, but they couldn't scale it. It took someone with a much higher leadership lid, Ray Kroc, to turn it into the global powerhouse we know today. So this law really forces us to look in the mirror and ask a tough question. What's my lid? What's limiting my influence? And what am I going to do to raise it? Next up, the law of influence. This gets right to the heart of it all. Maxwell's definition is simple. Leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not your title, not your position on an org chart. It's something you earn. He points to someone like Mother Teresa. She had no formal title, no corporate power, but her influence was absolutely massive. Real influence comes from who you are. And then there's the law of process. This one is so important because it reminds us that leaders aren't born, they're built. Leadership develops daily, not in a day. Maxwell compares it to compound interest. Those small, consistent investments you make in yourself every single day, they don't seem like much at first, but over time they pay off in a huge way. The fourth law is the law of navigation. Anyone can steer the ship in calm seas. A real leader navigates through the storm. It's all about foresight and planning. And Maxwell gives us this handy acronym to remember it. Plan ahead. So, for example, the P is for predetermine a course of action, L for lay out your goals, and so on. It's a super practical framework for actually making your vision happen. Okay, so we've covered the internal side of things. Now let's talk about how leaders connect with other people. This is what Maxwell calls the art of influence. Law number 5 is the law of addition, and it's really all about servant leadership. The best leaders are always asking themselves, how can I add value to the people around me? It's not about being in charge, it's about lifting others up. You know the story of Costco's co-founder, Jim Sinegal, walking the floors and talking to everyone? That's the law of addition in action. That's how you build real loyalty. Following right after that is the law of solid ground. It's so simple. Trust is the absolute foundation of leadership. Without it, everything, and I mean everything, falls apart. Maxwell says you build this trust through integrity, being transparent, and just making good calls over and over. And here's the thing, when you mess up, and you will, owning it actually makes that foundation of trust even stronger. The law of respect is just as crucial. Here it is. People follow leaders they respect, and respect is never given, it's always earned. You think about historical figures like Abraham Lincoln or Nelson Mandela, the respect they commanded had nothing to do with their title. It came from their unwavering character and their courage. That's the kind of leadership that makes people want to follow you anywhere. Then we have the law of magnetism. Put simply, who you are is who you attract. Your team, your circle, eventually it becomes a mirror, reflecting your own values, your energy, and your mindset right back at you. So if you want to attract top-tier people, you have to become a top-tier leader first. The law of intuition. This is about developing that leadership gut feeling. It's not magic. It's this learned ability to read situations and people. Maxwell says it's a blend of your experience, your empathy for others, and just plain insight. It's what allows you to see the things that aren't on the spreadsheet, the human element of any situation. Law 10, the law of connection. This one is summed up perfectly by the phrase, leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. People just don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You have to make that human connection first. Everything else, the vision, the plan, the work, it all flows from there. The law of the inner circle is all about who you surround yourself with, because a leader's potential is directly determined by the people closest to them. Maxwell's advice is straightforward. Find people who will challenge you, support you, and make you better. Your inner circle is a massive part of what shapes your leadership, and ultimately, your legacy. And that leads perfectly into the law of empowerment. Maxwell says that only secure leaders give power away. Think about it. Insecure leaders hoard control because they're afraid. But a confident leader wants to see their people succeed. They empower them, they delegate, they share the spotlight, and in doing so, they multiply their own impact. Then we've got the law of the picture, and it's all about leading by example. Your actions will always speak louder than your words, because people do what people see. If you want your team to be accountable, you have to be the most accountable person they know. You have to be a living, breathing picture of the values you're trying to build. Our last law in this section is a big one, the law of buy-in. And here's the core truth. People don't buy into a vision, they buy into a leader they trust. You could have the most brilliant strategy in the world, but if people don't believe in you, it's dead in the water. That's why Maxwell says strategy without character is hollow. It always comes back to trust. Okay, so we've covered the internal foundation and the art of connecting with others. Now let's get down to brass tacks. Our third section is all about the strategy of action. This is how you turn that vision into a reality. Law 15 is the law of the big mo, as in momentum. And momentum is a leader's absolute best friend. It's like a freight train. It takes a ton of energy to get it moving, but once it's going, it's incredibly hard to stop. A leader's job is to create those small wins that build momentum and keep that train rolling forward. Next is the law of victory, and this is all about having a winner's mindset. Great leaders just find a way for the team to win. They refuse to give up. It's not about never facing setbacks, it's about resilience, resolve, and a relentless, unwavering belief that your team can and will succeed. The law of priorities brings up a critical distinction. Being busy is not the same as being productive. It's so easy to get caught up in just doing stuff, but that doesn't mean you're accomplishing anything important. Great leaders are absolutely ruthless when it comes to prioritizing. They focus their energy on the few things that make the biggest difference, and they empower their team to handle the rest. This brings us to a really hard truth in the law of sacrifice. A leader has to give up to go up. Every single step forward in leadership means leaving something else behind. It could be comfort, free time, even your ego. And the higher you climb, the bigger the sacrifice. As Maxwell puts it, excuses are the enemy of elevation. Our last law in this action section is the law of timing. And man, this one can be tricky. Knowing what to do is only half of it. Knowing when to do it is the other half. The right action at the wrong time can be a total disaster. Act too soon and nobody's ready. Wait too long and you miss the window. It's this delicate balance of being patient and being decisive. All right, we have covered a lot. So for our final section, we're going to zoom all the way out and look at the biggest picture of all, the leader's lasting legacy. What kind of impact are you trying to make in the long run? Law 20 is the law of explosive growth, and it's all about multiplication. See, if you want to just add to your team, you lead followers. But if you want to multiply your impact, you have to lead leaders. You develop other leaders who then go on to develop more leaders. That's how you create this incredible ripple effect that goes way beyond just your own personal reach. And finally, we get to the capstone of all the laws, the law of legacy. Your ultimate success as a leader, it isn't measured by what you accomplish while you're in charge. It's measured by what you leave behind. It's about developing the next generation and building something that not only survives, but thrives long after you're gone. So what's the big takeaway from all this? These 21 laws, they're not some strict rulebook or a checklist you have to follow perfectly. Think of them as invitations. They're an invitation to look in the mirror, to reflect on how you lead, and to recommit to becoming the best leader you can possibly be. And that brings us to the final thought. When you boil it all down, leadership isn't really about a title or a corner office, is it? It's about how you show up for other people. It's a posture of service, a posture of growth, and a posture of having an unwavering belief in the potential of others. So the real question is, what kind of posture will you choose?